So do you know what Riz is?
I started with a couple of videos, then I started watching more and more.
I'll take a double triple grimace shake on a yacht, 4x4 Sigma style, extra quandial dingles with this skibidi and a squeeze.
I teach 7th grade, they are still performing on the 4th grade level.
Brain rot, a word that people throw around all the time and possibly the biggest phenomenon to come from the internet in the last 10 years. But in reality, what does brain rot actually mean? And do people really have it? My name is visualventure and I hope you guys enjoy the video. What is brain rot? Brain rot describes individuals who are chronically online. Those that use social media not just as an entertainment source, but a guidebook on how to live life. Brain rot content is often described as repetitive, low effort, and flashy. But at its core, brain rot can also be a term for people who spend too much time online to the point where it's affecting their mental and even physical health. Skibbity Toilet, Cocomelon, and Fortnite memes are some examples of what brain rot can include. That or content with lots of jump cuts, sudden effects, and a ton of internet slang.
I'll take a double triple grimace shake on a yacht, 4x4 Sigma style, extra quandial dingles with this skibidi and a squeeze.
Brain rot content is created with one purpose and one purpose only: to get viewers. Many creators have cracked the code on how to make content addictive to watch. By keeping content fast-paced, colorful, and stimulating, it tricks the brain into believing that this is something you must keep watching.
And it turns out our brains are wired to keep watching. Binging activates the reward center found in the midbrain, where dopamine is released and sent to our nucleus accumbens in the basal ganglia.
Recently, brain rot has become a rising concern for parents, teachers, and even medical professionals. Researchers at Dove Press conducted a study on 1,051 young adults ages 18 to 27. The study found a direct correlation between social media and poor executive functioning skills. Those with higher screen times were proven to have lower planning, problem solving, and decision making, not to mention poor memory. The World Psychiatry Journal also did extensive research on what negative effects the internet has on cognition. Turns out, brain rot content is literally, in some cases, rotting the brain. Studies show that those who spent excessive time in virtual settings were more likely to have reduced gray matter in the brain. Simply put, gray matter helps us control our impulses and make decisions. And that data is based on an older demographic. Just imagine the effects it has on the iPad kids epidemic. No wonder parents and teachers are worried, especially when brain rot content is being targeted toward Gen Alpha. A study of 7,097 mothers and children found that children with more screen time had more developmental problems. 1-year-olds with over 4 hours of screen time per day showed delayed communication and problem-solving skills by the age of 2. And our society today proves that. Even before the stay-at-home crisis, Gen Alpha's educational skills were declining. And after the crisis, internet usage has obviously gotten much worse. Despite all this, younger audiences continue to flock to social media and more particularly brain rot content. And that's because the content is created almost specifically with them in mind. Creators profit from Gen Alpha's short attention spans by making addictive content. Social media's endless scroll feature keeps users hooked for hours.
Started with a couple of videos, then I started watching more and more. I watched every free moment I had, and day and night.
With all of this in mind, it leaves one question. How did we get here? Brain rot language. Just a year ago, if you asked people what brain rot was, they wouldn't have been able to describe it, but that's not the case now. In fact, it's now much easier than ever to spot brain rot content because they all have one thing in common: the language.
Stop, you're so chalant. Sorry to be so chalant, it's just, you've got a level 10 yacht, no glaze.
Brain rot content has become so common in social media that it essentially created its own language. Brain rot language is jam-packed with pop culture and internet references that most people in the real world don't understand. These slang videos are taken from trending videos and they form sentences that don't make sense unless you watch this kind of content.
What the Sigma?
Bro.
What the Sigma?
Most of the time, brain rot slang comes from influencers, particularly live streamers. Kai Cenat, a famous Twitch streamer, was the first to popularize brain rot slang words. Back in 2023, Kai coined the well-known term Riz.
Bro, I kept saying like, yo, I got Riz, a W Riz. At first, my chat was like, bro, what the like, Riz, that shit sound mad weird.
Although Riz wasn't invented by Kai, he was the one that made the word go viral. On a stream, Kai would regularly use Riz to describe someone who was charming to the person they were attracted to. Others have even said that Riz is short for romantic charisma.
You're rizzing them up to where like, okay, wait, hold on. Shit is starting to go your way.
Yeah.
Like, it's from like going from like a dead end to where, yo, you're just so swift with your words and what you're saying to where like the girl's like, okay, like who this? Like,
although the true definition got lost along the way, Riz became such a commonly used term that its popularity went beyond the internet. It became a part of the day-to-day vocabulary of not just gamers, but also the average Joe. Since then, more and more slang words have been taken from Twitch streamers and used by the general public. Kai once again became the source of another viral brain rot term, the phantom tax. Kai is part of a content team called AMP, known as Any Means Possible. Together, many members of AMP live in a shared house, each having their own room to stream and make content. One of these AMP members and housemates is Phantom, another popular content creator. He became infamous online because he would constantly barge into Kai's room and steal the food that Kai ordered. Phantom collected bites of their food as a sort of tax, and this would happen anytime someone in the house ordered a meal that looked appetizing to him. Viewers would then clip these interactions and start calling it the phantom tax. This term became widely popular on social media, especially on TikTok and among Gen Alpha.
Close your mind. You locking doors in this house? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Wrong with you?
Streamer Your Rage is another prime example. On stream, Your Rage would use the word gyat to describe attractive women. And once again, the internet took the term and ran with it, making it another viral sensation.
When we say gyat, it just gotta be booby. Say gyat! It's an expression like gyat! Oh, yeah!
Although slang in itself is a normal part of every generation, brain rot language is a bit different. Not only is it overused, but it seems like it's replacing their actual language. These slang words are usually thrown together randomly. It's not meant to make sense, and instead a mash of different words. This makes communicating with the younger generation much harder.
If you want to call somebody cool, what would you say? Like,
Probably like mad lit on God or something.
What?
mad lit on God?
Yeah, like
G-O-D?
yeah, mad lit on God, no cap.
Brain rot impacts more than just how kids talk. It also leaves lasting effects on how they look. Brain rot beauty standards. Looksmaxxing has become a viral internet niche on all social media platforms. Although it could be traced back to the mid-2010s on online forums, it only now became popular on social media. Looksmaxxing is just trying to make yourself as attractive as possible by maximizing your look, as the name states. But the origins of the word have a much darker history than you think. The term was originally created by incel communities to describe the extensive process needed to be deemed good-looking by women. Looksmaxxers usually go through damaging processes like extensive plastic surgery and unhealthy diets to achieve what they believe to be the ideal male look. The community also engaged actively in something called lookism, which is where they look negatively on those who aren't seen as attractive, and they only use physical appearances to judge a person's character, nothing more. It escalated to the point where there was a full site called lookism.net with the slogan, "Where looks matter." In 2018, a 17-year-old boy named Tom checked out the site himself. As a 6'4", blonde, attractive guy, he decided to experiment and post his own picture on the site to see what others would say, and the replies were shocking. People encouraged him to get plastic surgery or use steroids to get bigger muscles. Other anonymous users commented that he was unattractive and had bad genes. In Looksmaxxing, there's always some way to improve your looks, even if it means spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. Although Looksmaxxing isn't as extreme as it once was, it still adheres to the community's nearly impossible beauty standards. While some people seek beauty tips through it, for others it has become an obsession that spiraled to brain rot. When Looksmaxxing first hit mainstream social media, it was mainly a meme, and it was introduced through mewing. Mewing is when you flatten your tongue against the roof of your mouth, making your jawline look sharper. There were mixed reactions to this. Some adapted mewing into their everyday routine, while others made fun of it. At first, this seemed like a trend that would just come and go just as quickly as others have, but the simple facial exercise was just the start of a dark path that many would begin to follow. The Looksmaxxing community on social media started to get so intense it grew almost cult-like. Many members of the community were so obsessed with their physical appearance that they started encouraging some questionable behavior.
Get mugged.
Mogging is when one person is comparably more attractive than the other, usually when standing side to side. Much like Looksmaxxing, it originally seemed like a pretty light-hearted trend, but the mogging trend became almost synonymous with just tearing someone down because of how they look. Looksmaxxers often blame their looks as the reason why they have poor social lives and can't attract women, using mogging as a standard of self-worth. In the since-deleted Reddit post on the forum r/social skills, a Redditor talked about how they got absolutely mogged by a random girl at a Walgreens. The post detailed how he felt as the woman in front of him was more attractive than him, and it made him feel self-conscious. But he even went as far as to make up scenarios on how she felt about him. He wanted to speak to her, but stopped himself because he believed that she was disgusted by him. He believed that she was thinking, who does this unattractive man think he is to talk to me? And this isn't a rare case. There are countless Reddit posts like this from people with similar mindsets. Another Redditor talked about how he's been haunted for years over some lifeguard who he believed mogged him. He explained how he was pursuing a girl for many months. One day, when they were hanging out by the pool, a lifeguard quickly showed romantic interest in her faster than he did. She told him how much she liked the lifeguard and how handsome he was. The situation happened 3 years ago, yet he's still haunted by it. Since this community cares so much about bettering their looks, they'll go to extreme lengths. In 2023, several filters started going viral on TikTok. These filters would measure the angle of your eyes or the size of certain facial features. These were supposed to help you see if you fit in the ideal beauty standard. Using supermodels like Francisco Lachowski and Jordan Barrett as inspiration, Looksmaxxers have a very specific standard. To meet it, you need to fit a certain criteria. One of these requirements is hunter's eyes. These are eyes that are characterized by a positive canthal tilt, which basically means that they're angled upward in the outer corners.
I'm a facial plastic surgeon. Let me explain this new canthal tilt filter. What this is the angle created from the inner corner of the eye to the outer corner of the eye. If you have a positive tilt, that means that the outer corner is slightly higher than the inner corner.
The hunter eyes fixation went crazy on TikTok, with many young men becoming obsessed with achieving the look.
Your eye area makes or breaks you. The eye area holds a pivotal place in determining facial attractiveness.
Not everyone is born with their eyes shaped this way, so many came up with ways to shape their eyes, and they called it squint maxing. Within Looksmaxxing, there are subcategories of self-improvement tips like hair maxing. With squint maxing, people tried to continuously squint their eyes so that they resemble hunter eyes, hoping that if they did it long enough, they would have their desired eyes. But one of the most common and most controversial methods that Lookmaxxers use is something called starve maxing. To get that shredded physique and a chiseled face, many Looksmaxxers put themselves on highly restrictive diets. With so much negativity in the community, some creators turn this into a business.
Kareem Shami is a 22-year-old college student based in San Diego who's become the face of this Looksmaxxing trend after posting this video showing his physical transformation between the ages of 17 and 20.
TikToker Kareem Shami, known by his alias Syrian Psycho, is a content creator who makes self-improvement content specifically catered to Looksmaxxers. These include tips on hair care, personal hygiene, and facial exercises. Kareem shares his insights in his paid community, Mogwarts Academy. Claiming to be the top-rated community for continuous self-improvement, Mogwarts has over 2,205 Looksmaxxers. For $10 a month, members get access to over 14 hours of exclusive content and personal lessons on how to look their very best. This also unlocks other resources like a community forum, live webinars, and video tutorials. Despite its thriving community, it's been debated whether Mogwarts is just a meme. It's also been criticized for preying on the insecure. People who have purchased the course claimed that the resources are recycled from other sources like other forums or websites. Others have called the entire course brain rot and criticized both Kareem and Mogwarts for charging a monthly subscription for basic self-improvement tips that can be found through a simple Google search. Some apps have been created specifically targeting Looksmaxxers. Umax is an app that can calculate how much you fit the Looksmaxxing beauty standard. You take a selfie on the app and then it'll rate you based on 6 different categories: potential, masculinity, skin quality, jawline, and cheekbones. Although the app is free, users can't access its features unless they pay to unlock them. But Looksmaxxing is just one part of brain rot content. These beauty standards impact women too. Brain rot aesthetics. Do you know if you're cat pretty, or fox pretty, or turtle pretty?
There is a total of 10 different types, and we'll dive into each of the face shape types to better understand the features and charms of each.
Originating in East Asia, animal facial types were used in the beauty industry to describe different face shapes and features. But since it's become popularized in North America, it's gotten a bit out of control. For starters, this comparison is very niche to internet culture, which makes it confusing to understand for those who aren't always online. Although the animal face types are meant to describe different sorts of faces, many of the people referenced in these videos are models, actresses, or influencers who've gotten expensive beauty treatments. Many young girls on social media feel inferior to these since they don't look like the women in the videos. So they either try and fit into one of these archetypes or get plastic surgery. And this is just one part of a long-term trend that's been happening on the internet. Physical looks, personality traits, or other characteristics have started being grouped into aesthetics. Aesthetics have been around for as long as the internet has. Many people credit the website Tumblr for popularizing the concept back in the early 2010s.
When we think of aesthetics in the 21st century, we often think of hyper-specific Instagram feeds or the unending wormhole of aesthetic niches on Tumblr.com.
An aesthetic in internet terms refers to things or people with a specific look, personality, or style. From e-girls to cottagecore, young girls cycle through aesthetics every few weeks. They buy all new wardrobes, dye their hair, and sometimes even take on new personalities to match the aesthetic. But sometimes it can get a little confusing.
You're totally giving golden retriever boyfriend energy, which is amazing because I want to be giving black cat energy.
It might seem harmless at first, but chasing aesthetics can be harmful. They change quickly, making it tiring to keep up, and it also encourages overconsumption.
Because something that TikTok is really good at is creating these hyper-specific micro-trends that only last for a week that people blow hundreds if not thousands of dollars on, and then by the next week, next Monday, it's out of trend.
Social media is the source of major financial problems. At one point, 8-year-olds were going to Sephora to buy makeup and skincare products designed for adults which can harm their skin. If you want to know more about this, check out my video called How the Internet Destroyed Generation Alpha. Now let's do a deeper dive on few specific aesthetics with more problematic origins. One of the most infamous trends on social media in recent months is the coquette aesthetic. Identified by its excessive use of baby pink, dainty bows, and Lana Del Rey songs, the coquette aesthetic took over social media. The coquette aesthetic, once popular on Tumblr, has resurfaced and spread across the internet, even becoming a meme. While most people saw this as a micro trend that would fade away, others didn't feel the same, and a temporary aesthetic soon became a permanent consequence. The trend went far beyond just putting bows on everything, because the coquette aesthetic isn't just a look, it's also a lifestyle that only certain people could live. For starters, a coquette woman has to look a specific way: pale skin, thin figure, dainty, and delicate, which not many people naturally are. Many others wanted to recreate it for themselves, and with all the reference photos being unhealthily thin women, some started to do whatever it took to achieve this look.
While the aesthetic and philosophy is pretty, some of the people in the community as a whole are not. There is a notion that you have to be really skinny to be coquette, because what is depicted mostly in the aesthetic is really slender girl.
But that's not the only damaging part. The coquette aesthetic actually has some dark history that not many people know about. As defined by Merriam-Webster, a coquette is a woman who endeavors without sincere affection to gain the attention and admiration of men. And since the coquette aesthetic focused so much on softness and innocence, it became a favorite of men who had a fixation with younger partners. Much younger. But for those who didn't like pink or lace, another controversial aesthetic quickly took over social media in January of 2024. This one was oddly specific. On January 6th, 2024, a TikTok user posted a video that went viral.
Clean girl is out, mob wife era is in, okay?
In the video, she talks about how she wanted to ditch the clean girl aesthetic, which was an aesthetic where women would wear slick back buns, minimalist styles, and natural makeup. Instead, she proposed that everyone start doing the mob wife aesthetic. The aesthetic was based on fashion of the wives of gangsters and mobsters, mostly from TV shows and movies. Common references were characters like Elvira from Scarface or Talia from The Godfather. Immediately, TikTok was on board. Fashion creators started wearing large fur coats, flashy jewelry, and bold makeup. Anything a stereotypical mob wife would wear. Soon, the mob wife aesthetic became a trending topic on the internet, viral on social media, and covered by news outlets and magazines. But while the mob wife's life looked glamorous from the outside, looks are deceiving, because the reality of being a wife of a renowned criminal is anything but aesthetic. Since mob wives are tied directly to the mafia, their lives are constantly at risk. Their husbands are dangerous, and even if their lives were miserable, they had to stay with them or face dire consequences. Actual wives of mobsters started speaking up, talking about their real-life experiences and about how uncomfortable they were with the trend. Ali K, a TikToker and former mob wife, posted a response video to one of the viral mob wife aesthetic videos. In it, she talked about the dark reality of being the wife of a mobster.
Y'all do and wear what you want, but mob wife is not a makeup look. It's knowing that the safe in your bedroom with the cash in it is the decoy. It's being better than doctors at CPR and first aid.
Ali continued to open up about her past as a mob wife in other videos on her channel. She told stories about the incidents that happened in her marriage, like how her husband regularly gave her special types of painkillers for her headaches. She also talked about how the heavy and dark makeup that everyone on the internet seemed to love wasn't just a cosmetic choice. The makeup was used to hide injuries. Through these stories, she reminded people that her life was not an aesthetic and that being a mob wife shouldn't be glamorized. Some people have become so disconnected from the real world that they can't tell the difference between what's real and what's fake. Brain rot in real life. If you've been on the internet lately, you've probably seen this meme. Drawn by war artist Tom Leah, the 2,000-yard stare is an art piece. It was originally published in Life magazine in 1945 and was meant to showcase the shell shock that those in the military felt during the war. Although it was first publicized almost 80 years ago, the 2,000-yard stare didn't become famous until recently. Social media users started using it as a meme, renaming it as the 1,000-yard stare instead.
The 1,000-yard stare is being used as a reaction image to the horrors that persist online at any given moment. Whether this be the most cringeworthy post you've ever seen, making you shudder so hard you turn into a black hole, or actual nightmarish footage that leads you to traumatization forever.
The image became one of the most commonly used meme images online. Many people had never seen the artwork before, so when TikTok user @JoshLunchbox posted this video, they were surprised to say the very least. Josh, studying in a library, saw a book with a 2,000-yard stare picture. He captioned, "Go back to the digital realm. You're not meant to be here." The video instantly went viral. Josh, like many others, was completely shocked that the 2,000-yard stare was a real art piece and not just an internet meme. Many commenters also agreed with Josh, saying that if they saw this piece in real life, they would have lost their minds. People genuinely believed that the 2,000-yard stare was created to be a meme. They forgot what life was like outside of the internet. In the comments, tons of people shared that they felt like they truly had brain rot. One commenter shared that when he first saw a horse in person, he started quoting BoJack Horseman, which is an animated show about a humanoid horse. Another commenter talked about the time he was telling the story of Sisyphus to someone. When that person asked him how he knew about it, he had to cite his source as TikTok. Josh's video opened up the floodgates for discussions about brain rot, especially about how Gen Z and Gen Alpha are so chronically online that they can't seem to remember a world that existed without technology attached to you every second. This makes sense considering how in today's day and age the internet is our source for everything, not just entertainment, but even real-world news. Although brain rot has often been associated with things like memes, slang, and pop culture references, brain rot can also come from the overconsumption of much darker content.
The pandemic has led to a dramatic increase in screen time for many, and a lot of those hours have been devoted to what experts call doomscrolling. It's an unhealthy habit for multiple reasons, and one that is well worth the effort to break.
Doomscrolling is the activity of spending a lot of time looking at your phone or computer reading negative news stories. And with most of our news coming from social media, it's much easier to doomscroll. It makes people feel negative, yet they can't seem to stop doing it. That's because doomscrolling is addictive. According to clinic directors at the University of Pennsylvania, people doomscroll because they're searching for answers. Especially during the stay-at-home crisis, when nothing was certain, people believed that if they found answers to their questions, they would feel better. But of course, the answers only lead to more questions. Clickbait articles and videos attract your attention, but it's all just fake news.
Yep, a code red warning for everyone's life has just been set, and if you have an iPhone, get away immediately.
On the subreddit r/productivity, there are dozens of posts from people who say that doomscrolling has ruined their lives. The first thing they do in the morning is go on TikTok to watch bad news, and it completely throws off the rest of their day. They are intentionally rotting their brain, but they don't know how to stop. So with all of this damaging brain rot content, what impact does this have on kids today? Brain rot on Generation Alpha. For Gen Alpha kids who are addicted to their devices, the internet is their truth, and it all has real-world consequences that are finally starting to come to light. They overconsume social media content, which brands and creators exploit. According to a study by the American Psychological Association, kids ages 10 to 12 are more addicted to social media because their brain creates social rewards after they go on it. These are like happy hormones that they can get from day-to-day interactions like talking to friends, but much more intense.
When we engage with social media, it releases a lot of dopamine in the brain's reward pathway. It's bountiful in the sense that it's practically speaking infinite. TikTok never runs out.
But social media addiction doesn't just mean increased screen time. It also has serious consequences when it comes to Gen Alpha's learning and development.
Young Gen Z teachers are talking about the poor behavior of Gen Alpha students, and some of y'all are finally starting to believe us when it comes to how much we've missed the mark on raising these kids right.
Many teachers have used social media to share stories from their classrooms about their students, but not for a good reason.
And I teach at one of the more affluent schools. When I tell you that these babies cannot read, they cannot write, and they cannot comprehend, I'm not being funny. I'm being dead serious.
The Nation's report card reported that 67% of fourth graders are considered not proficient in reading. Reading and math scores in the United States are at the lowest they've been in decades. And while we can't exactly blame all of this on brain rot content, children ages 8 to 12 average almost 5 hours a day on screens. So it's not far-fetched to say that there may be some correlation there. Not to mention, many of these kids lack basic comprehension skills.
I could ask them, who is the main character of your story? The story of 4-paragraph story we just read. Can't tell you. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know. It took us 4 weeks to get through how to answer a question in a complete sentence.
This can also explain why younger generations, specifically Gen Alpha, are so drawn to online shopping. Because of their lack of media literacy and comprehension, they're easily swayed by marketing. WebPurify surveyed over 1,000 US parents and found that 16% of kids had online shopping addictions, with 22% preferring it as their main source of entertainment. Even with the major concerns we've covered, not everything online is harmful for kids. Brain rot exists, but so does great content. You can learn almost anything with a few clicks. Personally, I learned more in 1 year of online learning by myself than 6 years of traditional schooling. Everything I know about YouTube is solely because of the internet. Gen Alpha is incredibly innovative and tech savvy. If they use these tools for good, I know they can change the world. Visual Venture. Wait, before you go, make sure you guys watch this video about the internet's impact on Generation Alpha because it falls right in line with brain rot content. And make sure to subscribe. Love you guys. Peace.